How do we apply ethics to financials? That sounds like a really boring topic, but it's actually quite interesting. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and today's podcast topic is based on a comment someone left on one of my reels that I post on Instagram. Now, to my 15 subscribers on YouTube, thank you. I'm on most of the platforms, except X. I think that's what Twitter's called now. And Threads. I don't like Threads. I tried it. It was weird. Didn't enjoy it. So, if you like what you hear, like and subscribe. And if you don't like what you hear, I don't know, don't like or subscribe. Leave a mean comment. I can take it. I'm a big boy. Okay. Financial ethics. So this comment made by a friend of mine raised an interesting question. The statement she raised, and you can find it on Instagram, is that there really is no ethical way to become a billionaire. It's too much wealth for one person to have. I'm paraphrasing this comment a little bit, but essentially it's too much wealth for one person to have. That wealth should be redistributed. It really comes down to inequality and that. I should have looked at the comment as I was doing this, but I didn't, and that's okay. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. That raises the question, though, in general, of what are the ethics of having money? Financially speaking, as you start to accumulate more money, what's the word I'm looking for? What is your obligation? There it is. What is your obligation to the rest of society? Now, for those of you who know me, you know I fall into the staunchly libertarian camp, meaning I really don't care what you're doing because it doesn't affect what I'm doing unless you physically are doing something to harm me. This is where it gets sticky with billionaires. Now, I just talked in the last podcast, or a couple podcasts ago, about how billionaires are not inherently evil. I stand by that position. However, the question does come up about ethics of having quite literally that much money, so much money that you could not possibly spend it in one lifetime, no matter how big your family is. The ethics of that come up not even from a point of view of this person is evil or wicked or whatever. The ethics come up when you start to see that much, when you have so much wealth that your individual decisions necessarily impact people who are tangentially connected to you. Like the guy who owns the company, right? The guy who owns a company is always, whenever he makes a decision, it's always going to cascade and affect the number of people he employs. That's nothing new and that shouldn't be surprising. But when you have billions of dollars, oftentimes the decisions you make don't just impact your company, they impact society in general. Like you have enough capital where you can, for example, play with the stock market and play with the entire stock market. So that does raise some ethical questions. Now, as I said, as a libertarian, I generally speaking don't believe in the ethics in terms of your finances. The only ethics that matter are that you abide by the rule of that your right to swing your fist ends at my face. Okay, let's give that point, let's assume that point for non-billionaires. So the question then becomes, what are the obligations? If we're going to assume there needs to be some level of financial ethics, what are those obligations? Okay, well, if somebody says, well, you should donate to charity, which charities? Can I donate to my own foundation? What if my foundation's doing good work? Redistribute the wealth. Who in particular do I redistribute the wealth to, or who do I give that wealth over to redistribute? So that's where a lot of questions come up, right? I think the point is a very valid point, especially in today's world where we are dealing with record inflation. And somebody brought this up. I saw this on Instagram yesterday evening, and it was wild. if you adjust for inflation, the median income is actually below what the median income would be during the Great Depression. Now, look, there were also other things going on in the Great Depression that the comparison is not an apples to apples comparison. It's just interesting to look at. And when you start to think of numbers when you start to look at numbers in that way, and then you start to look at the broader economic system and what's going on and the income disparities that we have, you start to question, okay, well, what do we do? How do we fix it? And is the problem, rather, that we have too much wealth and too much income focused up here with a loss to the rest of the population? And that's the fundamental question. I think 10 years ago, you could reasonably make the argument that no, that's not, I think you can reasonably make the argument that no, that's not really the issues at hand here. But now you start to look at it and you start to wonder. Now, to be clear with billionaires, again, I made the point, I don't think they're inherently evil, and I don't think they're necessarily inherently doing bad. And another thing to note about billionaires is that most of them don't have billions of dollars of cash, right? They're not sitting on a pile of money like a dragon. Most of them are holding on to stock portfolios and assets that are worth in the billions of dollars, meaning that if they liquidated everything at this moment, they would have billions of dollars of cash. They do not have, for example, Jeff Bezos, he has hundreds of millions in value. He does not have hundreds of billions of dollars in cash on hand. But if you follow any of the financial pages on Instagram, you know that if you have X valuation on a stock, let's say you own 30% of Amazon stock, and not you own 30% of all outstanding stock of Amazon, you can actually take a loan against that and have tax-free money to play with. And that's a lot of money when you take out that kind of loan and you don't pay taxes on it. I said that, but I'm going to reiterate that. That's interesting. And that's an easy problem to fix. That's fixing the tax code. Oh, wait, no, it's not an easy problem because Congress is a problem. I've talked about that before. That is really what I think we come down to, and I think that myself and my more socialist-minded friends, and I mean socialist lowercase, I don't mean socialist negatively, I mean it just as like if you believe in the redistribution of wealth, you believe in at least a socialist light philosophy, I think we can both sit down and agree and say, okay, the tax code probably needs to be updated to reflect the way a lot of money moves right now. If you can essentially sit on $600 billion worth of stock and take a massive loan of $400 or $500 million and not pay any tax on it, even though you're treating it as income, okay, we probably need to create a system, much like we're fighting right now in the entertainment industry to create a system for streaming residuals that is actually fair. Right, you need to address that a little bit. That's insane. That creates a huge disparity in buying power between the top and the bottom, which drives prices up, probably leading to some of, not all, but some of the inflation we're facing right now. But again, that's not inherently evil to do that because the system is there for you to take advantage of. It's there for technically everybody to take advantage of, but if you own $100 worth of stocks, you really want to take out a $100 loan? Like, that's just a waste of loans. Anyways, this is a very hard topic to take on in 10 minutes. But the point I'm getting at is it's not as simple. It's both as simple and not as simple as redistributing the wealth. I don't disagree with the commenter that, and I'm not using their name because I just don't do that. I didn't have permission to use their name, but the comment is in the public space. So I will use the language of the comment. But it's not entirely clear how we would go about the redistribution. And I don't know that there is an easy way to do it, particularly if you don't have any trust in your government. Now, I'm not disagreeing with the point philosophically, meaning that I don't disagree that there needs to be an address of the point, but I think that we need to carefully think about who we trust to do the redistribution. And not only that, I think we would need to carefully think about what you can actually reach into and redistribute, right? If you have $600 billion worth of Amazon stock, well, are you forcing them to liquidate $600 billion worth of stock and then redistributing that cash? That would also lead to a bunch of economic problems. Interesting things to talk about, interesting things to try and break down. This could be this could be its own podcast, right? This could be a podcast by itself. But I do 10-minute podcasts a day. I'm not a financial expert. And yeah, you're going to have to deal with what I just went through. This is my ramble. I'm Nick. Like, subscribe, or don't. I'm around. If you don't like what I said, leave a comment. If you do like what I said, like and subscribe. Or like and subscribe if you really hate me and you just want to make a living out of hating on my videos. I'm okay with it. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.